Welcome back to EduQuestions. Today I want to take you through, of course, certain tips that we can use now that we are faced with this pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. It is something that we have to accept that we'll deal with it. But as far as learning is concerned, my name is Collins. As an educator, I would like just to take you through a little bit of a few tips that we can use, especially when we are back at home right now with our children. Tips or tricks that we can use to have our students engaged. Now that the schools are closed, we have to do something. Now, the first tip, number one, is that as a parent, you must have a schedule. You must have some kind of timetable for your children. Let your children know when to wake up, what they're supposed to do, from what time to what time. Have actually a typical timetable that guides your children back at home. Let them know what kind of routine that they have. This will teach them responsibility, and apart from responsibility, it is also going to teach them time management. So there are some soft skills that this teaches. Now, number two is basically reach out to a teacher. I know some parents are now asking themselves, I'm not a teacher, how am I going to tackle all this? We know this can happen. But again, if we are to do this, we have to reach out to our teachers, for those who are not teachers, so that you're able to guide your students, especially on technical subjects that you might not have the know-how on how to do this. Apart from just reaching out to your teachers, there are several online platforms that some of them are absolutely free. As an educator and as a teacher of mathematics, I love using Khan Academy. Khan Academy has great resources, both videos, exercises, worksheets, and everything that your child can get engaged with while at home during this time. We also have iExcel. We have Prodigy for those who are doing math. But in these platforms like Khan Academy, we even have some other subjects, but I use it mainly for mathematics. Now, that is tip number two, that we are supposed to reach out to those who can help. Reach out to your teachers and let them guide you on what you're supposed to do. But number one was to have a schedule, reach out for some help. Number three is create some time, some humble time with your child, and especially those in the village. Now I'm talking about those low class that do not have internet, do not even have power. But you can access a book, you can access an article, you can access a magazine. Please create some time for reading. Remember, reading is a very important subject in the education world. So as we look for these online platforms or online classes, before we do that, when we are not able to do it, first we have to use what we have. Now, for those parents who are in the villages or in rural areas where they cannot access these materials that are online, you can engage your child by having silent reading sessions. Just let them read, let them summarize, let them write, let them retell what they have read. Learning will be taking place. Let us not just sit and say that we cannot have online platforms, we cannot have online materials. So that is another tip. The next one is try and understand what your kid is supposed to be learning. Try and understand the syllabus. What was your son, your daughter supposed to have learned during this period? So reach out to your teachers. Some of this information are online. Those who are doing international curriculums, you can get the curriculum online and get to know what your student has learned or what your son or daughter has learned, and get to know the gap. That once you know the gap, then you're able to give the right materials, because all these materials can be found online and in various platforms. So you need to understand clearly what your son or your daughter was supposed to have covered during this period of time, so that when they are at home, they don't just sit and just wait for the pandemic to end. We do not know when this is ending. That is another tip. The next tip is connect to your child. This is an opportunity for us parents to create a relationship with our children. Connect before you correct. I hope that is clear. Connect before you correct. So some of us parents are now just learning that their children are not able to do A, B, C, D. Please, before you correct, start by connecting. Remember, if you are a friend to your child, then it will be very easy to correct. So create a connection with your child. Avoid commands, give information. Do not raise your voice when you're giving instructions to your child at home. I know sometimes you can get overwhelmed. Sometimes these children can be so, stubborn, or not necessarily stubborn, but they might take more than 2, 3, 4 instructions before they execute something that you want them to do. Now, please, children, listen. But if you raise your voice, you're going to create some bar. So what you need to do is just give information. Talk to your child. Give information and again and again. And remember, repeating information is not a sin. It is not wrong. Children learn through repetition. So let us repeat these instructions as much as we can until it gets into their head. Now, another concept here is avoid unnecessary praise. When you keep praising your child, your daughter, all the time, so basically, praise is used as a reward. So as parents, if we keep on using praises everywhere all the time, then it loses meaning. So as you are going to be the teachers during this pandemic, for those who are doing, those who are not having virtual classes, but even those who are having virtual classes, you have your child right at home. So use praises sparingly so that they have impact when they're used. So never just say good job, good boy, good girl all the time, even if it is something that they ought to have done. Like for example, if a teenager makes their bed, that is a responsibility. Do they need to be told good boy or good girl? So let us use praises sparingly during this pandemic.